Good morning again. I'd like us to pray so that we can start our day. Almighty God, we call upon you, your wisdom, favor, and blessing as we execute the responsibilities you have bestowed upon us. We seek your guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just, fair, and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen. Thank you very much. We have 6 candidates today, and our first candidate is Mary Karen Chesang Kigen. Members, if you are ready, we can ask her to come in. Welcome, Mary Karen Chesang. Please welcome. Have a seat. Have a seat. Thank you. My name is Nelson Makanda, and I'm the chair of this selection panel. You have a notebook and a pen, and at some point, some people have used some water, so you have some water there, if you so wish to use it. Welcome. Allow me to thank you for showing interest in the position that was advertised for member of the commission of the Iebc. We did this on behalf of Kenyans who are seeking to recruit a commission. And so on behalf of Kenyans, thank you for showing interest. But also allow me to congratulate you for being shortlisted. And for that reason, you are here this morning.
Thank you very much.
Asante. I want to invite my colleagues to introduce themselves. Then after that, we will come to you. Vice Chair, please.
Good morning, Madam Mary.
Good morning, Madam Vice Chair.
My name is Linda Kiome. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you for this interview session. Karibu sana, Madam.
Thank you very much.
Mary Karen, habari ya asubuhi.
Mzuri sana.
Naitwa Bwana Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa chopo hili la uteuzi, na karibu.
Asante.
Kanso, good morning.
Good morning, Madam.
Caroline Kituku, a member of the panel. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
My name is Adam Solo. I'm a member of this selection panel.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, Chesang.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Nicodemus Bore. Karibu sana.
Good morning, Madam.
Good morning.
My name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Wakili, and karibu sana. My name is Koki Muli Grinyo, and I'm a member of the panel.
Thank you, Senior.
Good morning, Mary.
Morning, sir.
My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of this election panel, and we welcome you.
Thank you very much.
Now we will come to you, Madam Chesang, and we'd like you to introduce yourself. Take 5 minutes to tell us who you are, your profile, highlight those things that you think are significant for us to note, and for the role that you have applied for. Let us know if you have any honors or awards, and if you belong to any professional group. Please, may you proceed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to thank this panel for giving me an opportunity to appear before the panel. It's not easy, and also it's not a right, but I thank you. My name is Mary Karen Keegan Sorobit. Sorobit is my husband name, so you'll find in some of the documents, there's a name Sorobit added. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, 29 years in practice. I signed the role of advocate on 11th day of January 1996. And I hold a degree of law from the University of Nairobi. I joined the University of Nairobi in 1990 after the last group of A-levels. After signing the role of advocates, I practiced law in Nairobi with a firm of Kibet and Company advocates. And then thereafter, I moved to corporate. I went to Eldoret to a state corporation, which was a new state corporation called the Kenya Ordnance Factories Corporation, or other people know it as the Bullet Factory. I started that as a legal officer and left as corporation secretary. And that is which exposed me to work with the military. I think we're only about 10 civilians. So that's when I started working with the military precisions, how to do documents in military. And you know, when you're in military, it's not a question of how do we deliver, but you must deliver. Then thereafter, in 2002, I moved back to Nairobi to join my family. So I went to practice of law. I went to the firm of Robson Harris as an associate advocate. And in 2007, I moved to the Law Society as the deputy CEO, head of compliance and secretary to the disciplinary committee. It is then that I came hands-on to the issues of corporate compliance, and because I was the secretary of the disciplinary committee in charge of all ethics and compliance of the lawyers, and more so as the secretary of the disciplinary committee is when I went now and my skills were tested there of leadership, in that I really changed the place from. Okay, I'll come back to there. When I reached the disciplinary committee, I realized that sometimes you could sit there the whole day doing matters from morning to evening. And by then we had not even gotten to the website, or that we had not even come up with a record. And you could find a client coming up on Monday, you don't get the file, you move that client to the next Monday. And also more importantly there, and when I reached there, all complaints against all lawyers used to be admitted for disciplinary. If you realize, my colleagues here who are members of the panel, when you apply for certificate of good conduct, it is stated that you don't have any past or pending dispute or matters before the disciplinary committee. I found that one being not very good, because it holds you as a lawyer sometimes some matters which are presented before the disciplinary don't have any weight or any cause of action. So I introduced something called prima facie, that before you put any matter before hearing, you have to put it through a process. If it doesn't raise any triable issue, you dismiss it. Because when a lawyer wants to apply for a job, you don't get a good certificate of good standing, because you have a matter in the disciplinary. So anyway, I changed the place, I introduced the prima facie. Then this is the time we used to do mail posting of complaints. And what I did is that I now decided to be calling the advocates, reaching out to them, because we had reached a stage of emails. People are not coming up they could not even get the matters. And we fast forward, we also did the record from there, because before then, LSK, we were doing everything manually. So I'm the one even who put up the record currently being used by LSK. My boss put up the website and I put up the record myself. So I worked there in LSK up to the new constitutional dispensation. A new transitional commission was established called the Judges and Magistrate Vetting Board, in which was the main mandate was to ascertain suitability of judges and magistrate to continue serving in the new dispensation as magistrate or judges. So I went there as an assisting counsel two council members went there as board members, and from the secretariat, me as head of compliance and my deputy, we went there as assisting council and joined others. I worked there until when we finished in 2017, and I remained there for a period of 6 months with another colleague so that we could do archivings and documentation with the people from the archives and documentation, Kenya National Archives and Documentation, and documented all the documents of the vetting board, which are currently there. Then from there, before 27, at the end of 2017, just before then, I was appointed as a member of the selection panel, Iebc selection panel, in which I served as a member of selection panel. Then when I finished, I moved on to Jubilee Party of Kenya as the deputy CEO, head of compliance and legal, in which now we did and we prepared the 2017 elections. And that's where I got exposed to election firsthand, although I'd been exposed to election in LSK briefly. So that is when we preparing our candidates for elections, doing the nominations process, the party primaries, and then the JPAT, that is the Jubilee Party Appeals Tribunal, because before you move to the Political Parties Dispute Tribunal, you must exhaust all the internal mechanism. And then from external, I found myself now rolling from Jubilee Party Appeals Tribunal, where I was the nexus between the party and the NEB, because any loser, you always sue the party. But from then now, when you go to the PPDT now, the political tribunal now, it is the party being sued, and I found myself being a deponent, even in all the affidavits, the Iebc tribunal, then those who appealed to the High Court. Then now we did the election, and before even the election, there were even also some matters which they were just before elections, so we had to open up our eyes. And the High Court, then we did the elections. After the elections, prepared the petitions. That is a 2017 petition. And at the end of the day, I was looking at my diary yesterday, and I realized in 2017, actually, I saw 271 affidavits, including 5 in the Supreme Court. That's Raila 2 case. Then when we finished now is when I went back to practice. In between, I've had the privilege of serving in the board. I've served in the board of Kenya National Highways Authorities for a period of 6 years, representing the Law Society of Kenya. I've also served in the board of Consolidated Bank of Kenya. So in brief, I think that is Mary Karen. Thank you, Chair.
Welcome, Linda, please.
Thank you, Chair. Madam Mary, did you serve in the selection panel for the Iebc?
Yes, I did. I served in selection panel of Iebc of 2017, the one of Kinachebukati.
Okay. I'm not going to ask you how is it now being on the other side, but just on a light note. So now as a member of Iebc, what key skills and competencies do you think will be essential for the team of the commissioners?
Thank you very much. One, of course, is the legal. I'm a lawyer. It will be a very competent skill, because even when you go to the Iebc tribunal, you also need a lawyer there at the tribunal. Because I realized the last one, which I attended when I was in Jubilee, I found the chairman was the only lawyer, and he was the one dealing with all the matters at the tribunal. Because one of the mandate of the Iebc is to supervise the party primaries and also to solve disputes, especially which arises out of the party primaries. So there's normally Iebc tribunal, and normally there, my skills will be required. And also when you are preparing for the petition, the election petition, definitely there will be election petition, and you need to get ready, especially now that it will be a very short period, and petitions are normally, they tend to be served on the last day. So also that will be another skill, one skill that is low. Secondly, my other skill is elections. Chair and members of the panel have been exposed to election. First and foremost, my exposure to election starts in 2009 when I was at the Law Society of Kenya. Before 2009, in LSK, all LSK elections used to be held for a period of 3 months, leave alone the pre-election period. The pre-election period whereby you could print ballot papers, you make sure that each and every ballot paper you use the advocate's role, those who have paid, as the alphanumerical voters roll. So you print a ballot paper with the envelope, with the name. Then on the 1st of October, you mail it to the candidates, to the members. Then members would vote from October up to 15th of January and return it by mail to the secretariat. And there was a place where, like a tender box, where you come and put, or you send by mail. In fact, the mailman used to bring them every day. Then that time, I was the head of legal and compliance. That time, we got a lot of complaints in which came to me in my capacity as the head of compliance. And because I used to receive all the complaints, including any other complaint, in that the elections were not free and fair because, one, there was allegations of people printing ballot papers. Secondly, it has, the candidates themselves now were the ones going around the advocate's office collecting the ballot papers, and they're the ones who bring, and others, even there was one even who alleged that he has found now during the counting, then that he had voted twice. So I wrote a paper based now and attaching the complaints that I had received. And I wrote to the council through my boss, the CEO, and it's like, I think these elections is fraud. It's not fair. And the integrity of the whole process, in my own opinion as the head of compliance, is not okay. We need to relook at it. And I thank the council because they asked me now, what do we do about it? I proposed we consult or we engage an election management body so that we could redo the elections again. And indeed, the elections were cancelled, and we engaged the election management body, which was ECK by then, and we had the first elections by ECK and the form of election which is currently being held by LSK. So that was my first experience with the election. And I thank the council because they listened and there was integrity. And from then it has developed. Secondly, now my exposure to elections is when I went to the Jubilee Party of Kenya.
Maybe, Madam Kigen, not to cut you short, but you can go now to any other competencies and skills that you may have in the interest of time.
Thank you very much. Another one is financial management. I have skills of financial management out of experience, my working experience. When I went to the board of Kenya, for a period of 6 years, I chaired the Audit, Risk and Governance Committee of Kenya. And there, although you have the technical staff, I realized even if you're using the technical staff, it's also good to also up my skills also in the financial management, so that when you're getting the reports and everything, and in the PFM Act, even the audit of institution has to go to before the audit committee before being submitted to the parent ministry. And I was also the signatory to the performance contract of Kenya for the period of 6 years when I was there. When I reached there, I realized I need to up my skills here so that it's not a question of you're being brought things that you don't know. So I partnered with the Institute of Internal Auditors of Kenya, and I attended almost all their courses. That's why when you find in my folders, you find those the certificate from the Institution of Internal Auditors of Kenya, so that I can upskill my skills. So in terms, I managed to get some financial skills. Another one is public administration.
You can just mention in the interest of time.
Okay,
Madam.
public administration. I've managed, if you look at the, as I said, I've managed Advocate Disciplinary Committee, which is now Advocate Disciplinary Tribunal. And I brought in a lot of changes there. Even by then, I worked with the AG Emeritus, Githu Muigai, who gave a recommendation about me. And then when he transited and became the AG, I worked with the then chair, Siganga, also wrote about me.
One more, the last one. If you have any other.
Governance.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
In governance, I can say I've been a board member, so I've sat in the board. So I know governance from the perspective of a board member, because like when you sit in Kenya, you sit with multidisciplinary. And I've also worked in the secretariat, so you know how to enforce the governance issues. So I've sat on both, and I've also attended some trainings also on governance issues.
Thank you very
There's
much.
also
that is enough, madam. In the interest of time, thank you very much. I wish you all the best. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you.
Have you received any award or honor?
Not from the state, but when Kenya gave me an award of service leadership, it's in my folder.
Okay, thank you very much. I want to ask Caroline Kituku to ask you some questions. Carol.
Thank you, Chairman. And Wakili, good morning once more.
Good morning, Council.
Yeah, so let's quickly speak about the 2022 presidential petition. Raila Odinga versus William Ruto case. What are the 3 areas that the Supreme Court identified as requiring reforms within the IBC structures and the mandate?
Okay. Thank you very much. First and foremost is Supreme Court pronounced itself that the aspect of verification and verification of the results is not the mandate of the chair alone. It is a mandate of the commissioners and the chair. However, declaration of results is vested in the chair. And on the issue of when announcing results that a presidential candidate has garnered 50+1 votes should not include strayed or void ballots. It should not give an advantage to a particular presidential candidate. And on the secretariat, or the role, the Supreme Court suggested that or recommended that there should be an amendment, parliamentary amendment of some act, so that it could put the roles of the chair and the commissioners as strategy, policy, and oversight.
Okay, which is this law that was supposed to be amended? Which is the law that you said?
IBC Act, and it was amended indeed.
All right, so that is one area.
Yes.
On declaration of results and the tallying and the processes therein.
Yes. What
is the other area?
Thank you, Madam Commissioner. The other area is on the server. On the server. The Supreme Court stated that those servers which are supporting the results for the verification and transmission of Form 34A, 34B, and 34C should be exclusively manned by IBC staff, so that to avoid a lot of issues. And IBC should segregate the servers, those which support the results or used in the electoral process, together from those ones of the day-to-day administration of the IBC, of the secretariat.
Very well. The third one.
And then on Form 34A, Supreme Court suggested that 2 things on 34A. That one, maybe it should be simplified and maybe have a column for strayed or void ballots, and then now a total, and then a place for total votes. And there should be a lot of voter education on the Form 34A, particularly to the IFBC staff, returning officers, and presiding officers. And to me, I think also Kenyans at large should be, this form needs to be demystified. They need to be, IBC need to do a lot of stakeholder engagement on that one. And then also, yes, and then also it proposed that there should be a constitutional amendment on the 14 days of the election dispute, because it is the dispute is the days are not sufficient enough. So maybe they should enlarge time. And then
Okay, the last one. What was the court's view on the area of special voting?
Yes, that's what was coming. That there should be special voting in accordance to Regulation 90 of the electoral regulation laws, so that it could provide voting by election officials, security officers on duty, maybe patients in hospital, those patients in hospital, security officers on duty.
Okay, thank you very much. I wish you well, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much.
I want to invite Koki Muli to ask you some questions. Madam Koki, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Wakili, your experience in Jubilee and also at the Law Society must have exposed you, especially on the Jubilee, must have exposed you on the contribution of political actors to the credibility and integrity of elections, or lack thereof. Should you be lucky and become a member of the commission, what concrete measures will you take to rebuild the credibility of IEBC in relation to the perception of political parties that in fact they see themselves as being very clean, but they see IEBC as lacking integrity, lacking credibility, and lacking neutrality? So how will you deal with this, and what concrete measures will you take to address that perception of lack of neutrality and all those other related problems perceived by political parties and candidates? Thank you.
Thank you, Senior. First and foremost is enforcement of the code of conduct. Because if we enforce the code of conduct to the letter, and that is a mandate of IBC, IBC are supposed to enforce the code of conduct. Because the code of conduct binds the political actors into doing some things. So if you enforce the code of conduct strictly, it will send a message, and they will be able to stop, to anytime if you hold them accountable, they'll stop hitting at IBC, because most of that thing, it is actually the actors. It is not the IBC. It's not the IBC. That's number one. Number two, continuous stakeholders engagement with them. Because having been in a political parties, I realize some of these things elections are very emotive. And some of them is just a perception. So you need to work with them on day-to-day basis, from day one to the last day. And when these stakeholders, when you're engaging them, like there's a very small booklet which is normally published by IBC. It calls election timelines. If that election, I used to find that booklet when I was in Jubilee very important, that once IBC publish it, I could enlarge it and put it in the office of each and every officer, and in the registry I could put it on the desk. And it gives timelines of each and everything that you need to do. If you adhere to those timelines strictly and not bending, giving somebody some leeway not to do something by a certain day, things will be smooth. Yes. So the systems are there, but it's a question of enforcing. And encourage each and everyone to come to the table with utmost good faith. Yeah.
Thank you. What about the side of the political parties? What can they do, or what will you ask them to do?
First and foremost, the political parties to rein their candidates also on the enforcement of the code of conduct. The code of conduct will spell that you are not supposed to utter vulgar words against your opponent. Rein on them, enforce your internal disciplinary mechanism, because each and every political party has got its own disciplinary committee. If that disciplinary committee can hold their candidate liable and even revoke even the nomination certificate of one person who is not in conformity with that one, it will send a clear message. And sometimes, like now, even holding a political rally, we are supposed to give a table, a schedule of when you are going for a rally. Don't hold a rally when your opponent has a rally on that place, on that space. And if a candidate of yours, however popular, does that, be able to rein on that candidate, because when you are holding that rally, you're supposed to inform IBC that you are going for the rally on this and this day. So if the other party had booked this space, why should you also go and book that space? Like now, the last day, the presidential nominations, the venues normally are booked in advance.
That's correct. Yes. Thank you so much, Wakili, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Koki. I request FCPA Tanui to ask you some questions. FCPA, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mary Karen, you did indicate that one of your skills is you'll be bringing on board, other than law or legal, is finance. Now, IEBC has been facing challenges or operational challenges in terms of delayed funding and inadequate funding. So using your financial skills, what mechanism, and assuming you will get the opportunity to be a commissioner, will you help putting in place at IBC to ensure that one, there is a timely release of exchequer to IBC for its operations, and two, there is also adequate funding for IBC operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First and foremost, if you have your budget in good place, indicating whatever you want, and you present it to Parliament, not the last minute, so that you can be put in the budget process, and it should be real and justifiable budget based, because normally they look at your last budget. What was your last budget before you ask for this one? So if you're going to add for additional budget, it must be justifiable. And also, each and every time, engage the National Treasury through your Parliament, your committee in Parliament for this funding. So that is one place. If you do continuous engagement, that is one. Secondly, you look for partners who will assist you in some, who can carry a component, which is, of course, not going to compromise election. They can maybe a partner to do like civic education. And in my my folder, I've done a course on, which is a strength also I'm bringing, on PPP, private-public partnership, because when in Kenya, when the government funding had become minimal, we decided to engage other partners, and you have to do it in a structured way. So that's why I did a course on legal contract and concession from the Institute of Public-Private Partnership in US. I have not finished the certification because it's a continuous, you do it in stages. So you also need to partner, but when you're doing these partners, don't do it skewed in favor of the partners. It should be beneficial to IBC, but you give them a component. You also look for so that it will remove the national funding from government. I think so.
Thank you, and wish you well. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I invite Evans Misati to ask you some questions, please. Evans.
Thanks so much, Chair. Ms. Karen, I wanted to ask you a question related to the risk and governance and the institutional framework of IPC. Now, from the risk management perspective, what is the purpose of an institutional risk management policy in an electoral commission like IEBC? And who is responsible for its oversight and execution?
Thank you very much. First and foremost, IBC, when I looked at, from the website, they do have a risk committee. That is the committee which is in chair, and I think it's being chaired by, it's a directorate. So that is the directorate which is in charge of the risk management of IBC, and they are the ones who should formulate the risk register. And you know, in the risk register, you have those red, amber, green, so that they can be putting the indicators of what is risk, what is high risk, and especially the red, how do we mitigate it? And because the chair and the commissions are the ones on the policy, so that they can be presenting them on, this is our register and this is what we need, so that give us how do we implement, especially on the red indicators, so that you can reduce the red to amber and then becomes green. So that is why. And then also it is very important to have the risk management, because it will tell you this is where is wrong, this is red, this is what we need, and this is the risk that we're involving, and we need to bring it down.
So as a follow-up to that, kindly mention 1 or 2 or 3 risks of that policy will be able to address in IPC.
Okay, thank you. One of them is voter register. We need to clean up the voter register so that it becomes up to date. I know IBC is supposed to do the audit of the voter register 6 months to elections, but you can, through that committee, they can continuously being able to look at it, and especially now on the dead voters. They can even make a provision to partner with the National Registration of Voters, so that you can, it is in sync. When a death register is entered in, you also can enter it directly to the IBC. That would be a way of clearing it. So that one can be one of the risks. Another risk now, as indicated the other day, is maybe on finances. Do they have, if they don't have adequate finances, what can you remove out of this so that you look for funding, as I said, as I indicated, like the civic education. Easily you can get funding on civic education, so that that one doesn't eat on the form which goes to the other core things of election, like now the biometrics and what have you, because you can't give out, in my own opinion, things like biometrics. There are some that you can get. Stakeholders engagement, you can also give out issues on stakeholders engagement.
Thanks so much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I invite Fatuma to ask you some questions. Mr. Man,
Thank
please.
you, Chairman. Madam Mary Karen, would you kindly share with the panel what long-term institutional mechanisms would guide the IEBC engagement with the electoral stakeholders, both nationally and at the county level?
Okay, thank you very much, Madam. When you're doing stakeholders, in my view and in my experience, you need to identify, first of all, who is your stakeholder, what do you need to achieve, and what modalities do you use? Because a modality and approach of stakeholder to one stakeholder is not the same as the other one. So in IBC, our stakeholder, in IBC, okay, fine. In IBC, the stakeholder number one is the public, a Kenyan public. So we need to IBC need to put in mechanism for continuous engagement with stakeholders. And in each and every aspect, take now like voter registration. The issue is you need to have a sustainable stakeholders engagement on voter registration, which to me should be continuous. When you want to engage voters registration, maybe the end result is now to get as many as possible, all or 100% Kenyans, including the one in the counties, to register. So how you put it, you engage them by putting in your website, first of all, we are now commencing registration. Go to the print media, do it in the print media, buy space in the maybe on the TV, the station, do town hall meetings, and even in the rural areas, chiefs are very critical. And because IBC has offices on the ground, use also those offices to be doing continuous engagements of the people in the rural areas. And you can even have mobile meetings in the sparsely populated areas. That is one. Another stakeholder is political parties. Political parties, as I said, that the booklet I said that they print, which is normally, by now it even should be out because a date of election is known. That booklet, if you conform to those aspects, because it gives you what you're supposed to be doing, you are supposed to be doing this one and this in this day and engaging, it is a very good long-term booklet and stakeholders engagement booklet, and it should come out in good time so that when you are going for the first meeting, you're not starting with meeting number 10 and you tick 1, 2, 3, gone. So if you have that one and you do it continuously, that is also another one. And also when you're engaging the stakeholders or anybody, the information should come out accurately and in good time. It should be, you give them timely and accurate engagement. I'll give an example. Political parties are supposed to submit their party nomination rule 6 months to elections. And when you submit your nomination rules to IBC 6 months to election, IBC will do things. They'll either give you a certificate of compliance or within 14 days, request you to amend a particular aspect. Now, that issue of asking to amend should come up in very good time. And I say this because you can wait up to 14, on the 14th day, email is bounced, amend this section. Yet, the law states that amended section will only be effective 90 days later on. Now, this political party, they want to hold a nomination, and they're using those nomination rules. And there's a timeline of submitting the names of candidates. So when you're also doing the engagement, do it, give information accurate and timely. It is going to help us.
Thank you. All those activities and approaches and all that, how do you now formulate that into a long-term institutional mechanism?
Thank you very much. You need to have a stakeholder engagement policy. Yes. Thank you.
Wish you
Thank you
well.
very much.
And part of those, the documents I was talking about should be condensed into that institutional stakeholders policy.
They should all be embedded.
Yes.
Thank you. I wish you well. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to ask Mr. Bore to ask you some questions. Kodemas, please.
Thank you very much, Madam Karen. You have served in different boards and also served as a political party. Can you describe an instance in your professional life when you are confronted by immense political pressure from maybe a prominent political figure so that you can alter the outcome of results, and how you are able to maneuver it, or if you agreed to what the prominent figure wanted,
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. I've served in politics, and there are several, but there is one which stands out. When we are doing the party primaries, 2017, then there was a member of County Assembly who had lost. So filed a reference at the Jubilee Party Appeals Tribunal. And I was the nexus between the National Election Board and the Appeals Tribunal. So all the documentation, the elections department could bring me the documents, and so that I could give them the original. And you have the timelines that you must finalize before the PPDT timelines, because you can't go there. You must finish within the timelines. So we were working late, 2 a.m. This member of the national election, this member of County Assembly approached my office. Thank God I was with, when I look at it, it's just God. Thank God I was with 2 other staff members in my office. So he approached my office, and I was just seated like this and staff members like this, and then he entered. I don't know how he was able to get into the offices armed. So he opened his coat and told me, look at this, they are not toys. This is my Form 34A, and I want you to give me my certificate. Gave me the Form 34A. The Form 34A he had is different from the original one that I had. He had added 2 zeros. So when you add 2 zeros, it changes election officially. In the process, one of as I told you, we had 2 more, I had 2 more staff, managed to sneak out and call reinforcement. When I stood, I refused to change that election because I had the original Form 34A. The Form 34A does not have the 2 zeros. So that is elections, and I cannot change. And thank God, and this is 2 a.m. Thank God the results were, the situation was contained. When I look back, that is just God. Nothing else. That's what I can say. That is one incident. Okay.
And when you're serving at the LSK, you created policies that were able to save you were able to maybe change and alter the way the processes are being done at the LSK in terms of maybe matters that have been registered and sorted. So when you go to, if given a chance, when you land at Iebc, are there very fast things that you can be able to pick up and change so that we can have trust back at Iebc?
Thank you very much. When we started the Judges and Magistrate Vetting Board, this was a very new thing and unique. And we had to put in policies, and on top of that, decide to engage, before even starting vetting, engage all our stakeholders, the law society, the judges and magistrate, the association, and the public. We did around town hall meetings in the whole country. When I go to Iebc, I know Iebc has policies. That is number one. Need to look at those policies, whether they're up to date. And when you're looking at a policy, you don't have to amend it. If it is up to date, mark it off. It is up to date. So that is one. Number two, as a commission, you need, as a commission, first and foremost, even if you need to bond. You also need to bond before you start and work as a team, as Iebc, before even engaging other people for the trust. Have trust and confidence among yourself. I've worked, when I was in the Kenya board, Kenya board is composed of law, LSK, surveyor, Iebc, engineers, association of manufacturers. So you will be diverse. So you have to come unity in your diversity, and now work as a stakeholders, and now engage the public to put back the trust of Kenya. What is this that is making people not trust IBC? If it's Form 34A, can we do civic education on it as proposed by the Supreme Court? If it is the, what do you call, the servers, the server is, to me, it's a component within it's a software. You need to educate people about it, because I think sometimes people imagine that a server is like a house that you can walk in. So we also need to know, because somebody will tell you open that server and they imagine it is a server you are getting in. We need to engage people so that they have trust, and we tell them we are independent. We are here to serve Kenyans. That is our mandate, and we are doing it impartially. We are people with integrity, and we've gone through a process. It is not headhunted, and there's a board which interviewed us, look at us, selected us among so many people. That's why I say even coming here is not a right. It is a process. So please trust us. We're here to work with you. Political stakeholders, please engage them and tell them, let's work together to deliver this one. At the end of the day, there's a winner and there's a loser. And you bind yourself. If you lose, Kenya is bigger than all of us.
Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you.
Professor Damsalo, please ask Mary some questions.
Thank you, Chair. Mary Karen Chesankigen. You certainly don't come from a marginalized community. Would I be right?
I come from the Rift Valley.
No. Rift Valley has marginalized communities and non-marginalized communities. There's a reason why I'm asking that.
Okay, I'm not.
Thank you very much, because none of the panelists has congratulated you on the very, very high milestones you have achieved as a lady, and I believe they have not congratulated you because you don't come from a marginalized community. Because when I look, you have been in boards, very high-profile boards. You've served at the Law Society of Kenya in a very high-profile role. You've served as an assisting counsel in the Judges and Magistrates Vetting Board. You've dabbled into the murky waters as a director in one of the largest political parties. By any standards, those are key milestones for a lady. So let me congratulate you.
Thank you very much, Professor.
For that. Now to my question. Reflecting on reports like the Kriegler Report 2008 and the NADCO 2023 that highlight previous election irregularities, if you are to become a member of the IEBC, what key lessons should the IEBC take away, and how would you ensure these issues are mitigated in future elections? In other words, I'm saying Kriegler happened, a lot of milestones were achieved, but some of the very things that Kriegler proposed, we keep on undermining them. NADCO has proposed some are in parliament being enacted, but there's a possibility that just like Kriegler, it might not be implemented to the fullest. So that's why I wanted to bring out where you have been. You have even been a member of the selection panel that put commissioners into place that were still faulted. So, and now Kenyans would like to hear, what is it, based on those reports, that if you were to pass, that Mary Karen Chesankigen who has that wide knowledge in governance, in elections, in law, in public administration, in audit and risk. You nearly have everything. What is it that you'll ensure that is done based on those two reports?
Thank you, Professor. One, the delimitation of boundaries is late. The NATCO report proposed parliamentary process so that we can have delimitation. I'll propose that one if times allows, because if you go through the long process, will not be able, so unless you go through the process. Then secondly, from Kriegler all the way, elections are won at the polling station, or won or lost at the polling station. So that elections, Kenyans should know that the Form 34A at the polling station is the results, and we're going to uphold that one. The rest is transmission.
Just on the first one, you know that boundary delimitation is as hot as the presidential election, or even hotter. Just from where you sit, and I'm not preempting you, can IEBC within 2 years handle two hot issues, one after the other?
It's very difficult, but where there is will, you can.
Thank you. My last question. How would you address a scenario where your personal interests or external pressures conflict with the IEBC's role and objectives? And we live in a political space. You and me know, you being a lawyer, me also being, that the Constitution only outlaws within 5 years those who have served within governing organs of the party. But you know our political space, you've been there. Just somebody saying that Chesang, a politician saying that Chesang served under Jubilee, you know they'll be, what do you tell them? What, in addition to my question? Because they'll come, you know very well, such issues will come.
Thank you very much. When I was in Jubilee, I had a mandate and a job to work for. I was not in the governing council, but I was in the secretariat. I was a staff. If I happened and I'm successful as a commissioner, I am here to serve Kenyans, to deliver credible elections. And my personal, I don't have any conflict of interest. But in another situation now, not this election, that when my personal, I am conflicted, first and foremost declare that conflict to your, that you are conflicted on this part, and you declare to your colleagues so that they get to know, other than people coming to know at the end of the day that this person had vested interest here. Because if it's very, very personal. But working in a political party and now working in IBC, there's no conflict of interest.
Thank you, Chair.
Jubilee Party is still an active actor in Kenya today, and you will be needed to mediate between political parties when they have issues. How will you handle if that is brought to you as a commissioner and it involves Jubilee Party?
Thank you very much. Yeah. For record, I'm not a member of Jubilee Party.
No, but you have been a staff of Jubilee
I have
Party.
been yes, that I'm saying for
yes,
record.
Yeah.
I have not been a member. I'm not a member of Jubilee Party of Kenya. I was, but I'm not a member. And if it's brought there, I'll be an umpire, an independent umpire, arbitrating against two political parties. But this time, I'll be wearing a hat of a commissioner, not a member, because I want to believe each and every person, almost everyone, at one point or another, you've been a member of a political party. So you'll not get that person who may not be a member or have been a member of a political party to come and arbitrate. Yes. So my interests, I'll just serve them as a member of the commissioner, discharge my duties independently and impartially. That is the way even I think my oath will be. The way I swore when I signed the role of advocates in 1995 to discharge my duties independently without fear, I'll still stand by my oath.
Okay, thank you. Please, Professor Adams.
Again, Chair, I guess I would be right if now I call you by that name that nobody has called you, but which you alluded to, Mrs. Sorobit. Is that how it's pronounced?
Yes, Professor.
With your wide knowledge on the election journey and the legal milestones in Kenya, I'll ask you a high school question that the chair insists we ask. Name the 3 members of the panel of eminent personalities convened by the African Union to
Realizing he's in.
Okay. I was trying to wonder whether he was the secretariat or he was in the gallery, but he's in the gallery. So thank you. Thank you, sir, for coming to accompany your spouse for this session. Please, you find your certificates at, with one of our officers at the door as you walk out. Feel free to pick your pen and notebook, and blessings to you. Thank you very much. Please bring the candidate in. Welcome, Mary Njeri Mburu. Please have a seat. You do have a mic before you, a notebook and a pen, and sometimes water if you like. My name is Nelson Makanda. I am the chair of this selection panel, and allow me to thank you for showing interest in the advertised position of a member of the Commission of IEBC, but also congratulate you for being shortlisted for the same.
Thank you.
I want to invite my colleagues to introduce themselves before we do come to you, Madam Mary.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Madam Mary.
Thank you.
My name is Linda Kiome.
Yes.
I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to this interview session. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Madam Mary, habari ya asubuhi.
Mzuri kabisa.
Naitwa Bwana Andrew Tanui, mwanachama wa chopo hili la uteuzi, na karibu.
Asante.
Miss Mburu, good morning.
Good morning.
Caroline Kituku is my name. Welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
My name is Adam Solo, a member of this selection panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning.
My name is Nicodemus Bore. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Good morning, Madam.
Good
My
morning.
name is Fatuma Ali Saman, a member of the panel. Please feel welcome.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mrs. Mburu.
Good morning.
And karibu sana. My name is Koki Muli Grinyo, and I'm a member of the panel.
Asante.
Good morning, Mary Mburu.
Good morning.
My name is Evans Misati. I'm a member of the selection panel, and we welcome you.
Thank you.
Asante.
Okay, thank you very much. We want to come to you, Mary. Kindly introduce yourself, highlight those things you think are significant in your profile that will aid in the work of the commission, which you have applied for. And let us know if you are a member of any professional group or society, and if you have received any award. Please proceed.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is Mary Njeri Mburu. Sometimes I'm called Wambugo because that is my husband's name. So some of the certificates have Wambugo. My earlier certificates in high school bear the name Wanjeri. Wanjeri was a nickname. So I dropped a wa and I kept Njeri. So you find those discord in the documents. I have a bachelor's degree in agriculture and a master's degree in business administration. Very early after my first degree, one of my professors who was very fond of telling me, you don't belong to this, doing pathology and all those things, told me you belong to business. And I believed him, and immediately I finished my first degree. I did a master's degree in business administration. 1994. After that, I worked shortly with the Trust Bank. I was rising from management training all the way to becoming a credit manager, and a job I did well. And after that, I had a short stint when the former president, Iebc, Miraria, who was the Minister of Finance, disbursed the credit of procurement officers. I got an interest when I was in the bank, and I applied to go to Kenya Pipeline. I was taken, and I did a short 18 months, and we'll discuss about why I left that. It's part of what makes me who I am, because wanting to be a person of integrity. After that, I went to USAID, and I was actually headhunted from that information that came out, and I was headhunted. I worked at USAID supporting the regional platforms in DRC, Sudan, Southern Sudan, Congo. Sometimes I'll do a TDY, a temporary duty in Uganda. I know that. And then after that, 2013, I got an opportunity worldwide. They needed third country nationals to go and support critical missions, which were in Afghanistan. And I applied and I was taken very high level. That's a nutshell of what I've done. The reason why I applied for this position is I look at one thing, public trust at IEBC, and I was applying for this position in the last IEBC because that is something which working with US government made me have a drive, seeing the way they do their things, seeing the way public leaders hold themselves. Working with them very high level, mission directors, ambassadors, wherever we went, they held themselves in high esteem. They were people of integrity. So that is what made me feel I would want to come and improve our public trust in IEBC. Integrity of the institution, looking at why should people working together not have a unified communication? Why wouldn't they have internal disputes solved before they came to the public? If they are delivering an election, how credible is that election if together themselves they are not having their own resolution of dispute? How do you look in public? That is what drove me into that. And I have strength in procurement. We did very high level procurement for US government in USD missions, both in Nairobi, overseas, and everywhere. And the first thing that comes into my mind is you are expected to act ethically. You've got to believe that whatever else you have does not matter. What matters is how does it look in the eyes of the public? And that is what drives me into thinking that if I have those ethos, how does the public look at IEBC? I should be in the IEBC commission so that I can emphasize or I can contribute to that public, raising up the public image of IEBC. I have, professionally, I have achieved many awards. Both in Afghanistan, I got a meritorious award. It's in my file. Both in Liberia, in Haiti, in Afghanistan, I got all awards because of contracting high level with integrity. And I also supported the budgets in congressional budget justification, writing up documents saying this is why we need this money. Thank you.
So let's come to the thing you skipped. Why did you leave Kenya Pipeline?
Kenya Pipeline is a government institution, and I joined when Muraria, former Minister of Finance, called, send everybody home, and I applied and happened to be taken because I had not done procurement before. And I looked at what was going on. I stayed 18 months, if I'm not wrong. And it was untenable for me because the things I saw being done, I would write documents and then they are checked by somebody else. And there were a lot of things that did not please me. That time I was still very young. I had worked in a bank where the Asian bank I worked for, you were to justify everything you did. Why did you select this one, this supplier and not this one? And why did you do this and not this one? And it was something you discuss with the people. But I found in Kenya Pipeline, you don't discuss with anyone. Decisions have already been made. And it was untenable for me. I just left. I left the office one day and I never went back. And I wrote a resignation when I went home because I thought my life was in danger.
So suppose you encounter this at IEBC, do you expect a resignation?
I did that when I was a bit younger. Now I have worked for US government. I've worked for the best there is, money can buy. I have grown the thick skin. I know how to do the internal dispute resolution. I know how to do a consultative decision making. Before, when I was younger, I could not go to my bosses and tell them because even going to head office, I was seated in PS10. PS10 is in industrial area. Coming to head office was a tall order. They will not even allow you. My former boss could not even give me an appointment but now I'm talking about a highly rated commission, which have got people of high integrity, people who have experience, people who are maybe my age or even more, or even younger. So it's up to me, the ones who are younger, to convince them, because leadership is all about, can I inspire you? Can I motivate you? Do I have a vision for you to follow? Is there a vision, a compelling vision, which you can follow? And am I inspiring you by how I communicate this vision? Am I motivating you? Is there a reason? Being a scholar of leadership have made me high level on top of what I was already. I was very high level at USAID as a TCN, third country national, but now I'm even more bold that I will not bolt out. I don't bolt out. We disagree, we have to come to a consensus. Currently in board meetings, we disagree on many things like technology buying, and we discuss, and until we come to a concession. My way is not always the right, but I have to also buy other people's ideas. That is called consensus. You come with a unified communication whereby you all agree and buy to it and have responsibility over it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Linda, please.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Mary, apart from your professional experience, which I note that is vast and exemplary work you have done for USAID, as well as being in Family Bank as an executive director, and all the experience you've got from your professional undertakings. Now, apart from that, what other key skills and competencies do you bring to IEBC? Noting that the environment within which IEBC operates is a high level and high stake.
Oh, yes. When I was in the diplomatic missions, I would go to the field. For example, elections in Liberia were happening when I was there, and we were preparing as a mission. US missions, USAID missions, had all these projects that are supporting whatever cause was on the high level. So when it is election time, everybody in the contracting office looks at what are these programs, what are these projects which are going to do, that how is the population? So for me, coming with an experience of having seen different I can say countries like Liberia, Afghanistan, Haiti, how fragmented they are. What brought the fragmentation? As the technical team wrote the scope of work for me as a contractor, I was to look, is it contractable? Are these issues that are coming in the scope of work, are they the ones that we are going to contract around? Are they going to solve the issues that will come out in the elections? So for me, I'll be looking at ground level, ground zero. Where do we stand at this time? Because elections are different every time. So looking at 2027, I'm in 2025. What is it I can do early? I can start procurement process. We have the public eye looks at doing a last minute. IEBC is always doing a last minute. Why are we doing a last minute? Are there not planners there? And I'm not saying there is something wrong with that. Maybe it is the transformative, not procedural. I'm a transformative reader, not a procedural reader. Procedure you do to an extent, and that is where transformation and strategy meet. Because you can't be a transformative leader if you're not a strategic person. You've got to know what are these procedures that are going to culminate into the process, the ABC, the procurement of materials, the transmission of deployment of technology to the field, the testing, sanitizing that, the audits of the registration register, all that. Is it ready? Are we showing the public we are ready? Are we talking about, oh, this much percentage is not being done? What are we doing as IEBC? We have to make sure, at least based on the parameters given in the Article 88, our mandate, we should be in a position to accomplish that well before. Thank you.
I have noted that you have given us two skills, or rather competencies, which is a diverse elections experience in the international fields where you've had the direct experience in countries like Liberia in the election matters, and also transformative leadership. Is there any other skills and specific skills and competencies?
Yes, financial budgeting. Looking at, does that budget reflect, does the budget reflect you going against your policies? Are you going against the act in the political parties? Have they nominated? And if they have not nominated the political person according to their own act, then how are they going to agree with the act of the IEBC? So first of all, they have to be within their own procedurally act within their own political parties act. So they must comply with that. So the oversight there is looking at their act as an IBC commissioner and seeing where is the gap. And if there is a gap, send them back. Comply with ABC so that when you bring this person, it sanitizes the process of IEBC, because all the way from nominating a candidate, if there is lack of following the procedures, then it is not going to come here and we sanitize the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for that. So specifically, would like to know which are these things, what measures does IBC put in place to ensure that all that you're saying, oversighting, happens? What are the specifics, things that IBC must put in place?
For example, does the candidate comply with the chapter Article 6? You know, have they nominated according to every public and I think even when you come to the nomination of candidates, they must be acting in accordance. I see all the time in the advert, they must comply with the chapter 6. Have they complied with the chapter 6? And there are very many elements of chapter 6. Person must be ethical, act with integrity. There is those qualifications that are required. Are they created by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation? Do they have anything balanced with the university where they went? Do they have the threshold? In a nutshell, how do they have the threshold to qualify as a candidate according to Chapter 6 and then according to the Party Nominations Act?
Thank you very much. I wish you well, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I want to ask Madam Koki Muli to ask you some questions. Koki, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Madam, what is an electoral calendar and what does it specifically contain?
Electoral calendar is a calendar showing when elections are supposed to happen. And it aligns with an electoral cycle. Electoral cycle in this country is 5 years. For who? President and other members of parliament, county assemblies, assistants, all that. An election...
Besides the election date, what else does it contain?
Election calendar starts with getting ready for elections. Election calendar is about when do we purchase things that are going to be used in the election? When do we deploy those things that are have been bought? Do we have adequacy of those materials and equipments required in an election? An election calendar is like telling me certain dates. August, that is when we do our elections here. Before, we used to do the elections in a different time. There was even a time when I remember I had come back to the country in one of my R&Rs, and I found the elections were done in a different date. They were deferred. So if I stick to the election calendar, it's after 5 years of, it aligns with the election cycle. I'm not sure I understand what you mean by election date.
You are the one who said that the election calendar contains election date. And I asked you, besides the election date, what other things are in the electoral calendar? And I want to follow up that question with another
Yes.
one. Why do you think it is so critical for IEBC to prepare an elections calendar, and when should they do that? Or when do they actually do that? Because they do that.
All right. Now I think I internalize that. Election calendar starts when one election is done. The next one, we start the next, because you start by looking at what was the problem? What are the gaps? You audit the other election. How did it go? How can we prepare for the next? Because I believe IEBC is a commission that does not just do one election. It's not appointed to do just one election. So they go through the cycle of elections. So an election calendar starts when the other election have finished. So if you are getting in as a commissioner when one election have already been done, election calendar has already been started. And it doesn't have to start with the commissioners, because there are people in IEBC who are doing the preparation for the next election, looking at the gaps, looking at what are these, what happens, what did work, what didn't work, what were the challenges, what are the opportunities, and
for example, in Liberia.
Yes.
You said you are there during the elections of Liberia.
Yes.
Have you ever seen an elections calendar? Or did they have one in Liberia?
No, I did not see any.
Okay. Thank you very much, and
okay.
I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. FCP Attorney, please.
Thank you, Chair. Mary, which
Yes.
profession do you belong?
I belong to multiple profession. I am an ACCA. I'm a chartered accountant. I have an ACCA in front of my name. I am in good standing with ACCA. I've done the follow-up CPDs. I do them every year. Unlike a CPAK, where you don't lose your profession, in ACCA, I can be told to do Section 3 if I don't do the continuous.
Which other one? You said you belong to many, so which other one?
Something American government call FAXI. I'm a profession in that, because I finished Con 360. It's in my file. Con 360 is contracting for decision makers, where they
So
don't.
Which other one? You have told us many. So which is the third one?
I'm a leader.
You know, profession. When I say you're a professional, it means a skill that you've been trained, examined, and certified.
I've gone through the Institute of Directors. I have a certification from Institute of Directors as a leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm picking it up from where you told us you are a transformational leader.
Yes.
And not a procedural leader. Now, IBC has a mandate that is highly procedural, if anything, highly regulated. You can't do anything in IBC outside the legal framework. So how would you, given an opportunity to be an IBC commissioner, how would you be able to deliver on the mandate of IBC if you are not a procedural leader? Thank you.
Panatanui, maybe I didn't express myself well. What I said, or what I would want to clarify, is that I'm not only a procedural leader, because a procedural leader follows strategy, follows plans, and follows the lay down milestones that are going to be achieved in the strategy. I said I'm not only a procedural, I'm also a transformative, because procedural goes add up into budget. So the budgetary procedure will be, first of all, take stock of what activities are involved, what activities are being carried out by the Iebc. And then you associate each of those activities with a cost. And then how do you come up with the cost? How do you know that it will cost A and not B? Because there are people who are financial experts, who are financial analysts. And I was one of that when I was working for USAID fingertips. Is it adequate? Does it adequately cover that? Or will I need to go back? And I think in the budgetary process have to be very thorough, identifying each of the cost centers. And not only do they swallow the costs, are they going to be inflated? Are we considering things like inflation? Are we looking at if it is traveling to where IBC have got satellite offices, what are the costs going there?
Thank you. I think that's okay with me and the panel. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I want to ask Misati to ask some questions. Misati, please.
Thanks so much, Chair. Mary Njeri.
Thank you.
I also wanted to ask you a question related to the presidential elections. When IBC issues the statutory forms where the presidential candidates fill, what is the number of voters